Good afternoon, everyone. With the galactic cosmic rays increasing, it sure looks like our cloud bands are shifting. They're going out of flow, absolutely. And this dust storm continues to grow in size on our own Earth. Recent dust storm on its own in Arizona. In Italy, multiple water spouts coming out, some type of vortices that's unusual in the atmosphere. In Japan, 2 months worth of rain in 72 hours, and then it became half a year's worth of rain in just 10 days. Entire southern part of the country looks like this. They're inundated with rescues. And while I was looking at the global particulate, also glimpsing in at the North Pole, it's only 4/10 of a degree above freezing. And you for sure want to take a look at this new book, Abundant Harvest Food Security. It's more of an interactive. When you find some information, there's links going out to everything so you can get it in more real time with much better explanation. It's well done. It's something different. And the link to Abundant Harvest, as well as all the stories in tonight's video, along with the images, are in the description box below. We're going to take a look at some cloud cells here first. Now, a difference in the temperature on our planet drives different pressures, which in turn drives these cloud cells. The Hadley cell is probably the most famous that you're familiar with. Take a look here from European Space Agency on how these cloud cells actually feed in and loop into the next cell further north. Now these are divided between 0 degrees on the equator up to 30 degrees north latitude, and that in itself gets pulled in from 30 degrees up to 60 degrees, and then finally up to the poles. Now we've been talking about galactic cosmic rays, and this new keyword seems to be making the media headlines across the planet. Alternative media, it's dripping into the mainstream slowly. If you don't know what galactic cosmic rays are, Svensmark, the cloud mystery, incredibly easy to understand video for free on YouTube. The reason there's so many galactic cosmic rays and cosmic rays is because our magnetosphere is so weak. We're going into the grand solar minimum. So if we truly are having effects from the sun and it's not CO2, we should also be seeing effects on other planets, such as the Mars dust storm, which started last month, May 30th, and it's still rolling along. It's an entire planetary dust storm. This fits right in with all the planets lining up on the other side of the sun, and it also fits in even more with our sun in its grand solar minimum affecting our Earth. So we should be looking for signs as well in atmospheric disturbance, unusual vortices, etc. Italy has been pounded with thousands of water spouts this year. And when we take a look at this image, what are there, 4 coming down, and there are a 5th and 6th one in the background about to come down. When is the last time you have seen 4 fully formed water spouts with a 5th and 6th and possibly 7th getting ready to pull down as well? So following along with the incredibly large dust cloud that has been rolling over the Atlantic from Africa, that's then pulled up into northern North America, across Greenland, and looping back in, over on itself across Europe. On null school, I started to spin the globe around, and I'm like, whoa, I can't even get the entire thing in on one side of the planet. So I put it on the flat view, so it's quite a bit easier to see here. That dust storm now goes from the Gobi Desert way up in China, India, across the Middle East, over through Africa, across the Atlantic, and into the United States, and it's actually blowing into the Pacific. This is continuing to intensify as well. It's not stopping. And this is why a lot of people are starting to talk about it more and more and more, because it is becoming, and it will envelop the entire equatorial belt. And when we get to that, what are we going to turn into, something like Mars? That's unbelievable. And they're trying to tell you it's all CO2. It's not. It's the sun. I'm taking a look deeper into the Arizona dust storm that was just, I guess, on the 5th. Incredible images coming out. They call it a haboob. But the front preceding and pushing this dust is ferocious. Now when you see something like this, what you can't see behind is the cell that's pushing this in front. This is July 5th. A lot of the images are still coming out through social media as people process them. Incredible images, and then after it did roll through, look at the visibility down to almost nothing. And then sunset came. And look how beautiful this is. Different look at it. You can see how high the cell is above it, driving that dust beneath it. So let me widen that out. This is one of the best shots I've seen in a long time. This is Mother Nature at its best. Now also when I was up in Null School, I decided to jump up and look at the temperatures in the North Pole because we've been told it's the warmest year ever and it's the hottest ever and everything's the hottest ever and it's just the hottest world ever we've ever had ever. So I thought, all right, well, the North Pole got to be at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit by now, the way they're talking in the news. I thought, well, maybe it is 40, 50, 60, 70 degrees the way all the headlines are reading. Oh, no, it's just 0.4 of a degree above freezing. And everywhere you see blue, it is that temperature or lower. And I encourage you to get on Null School. I left the links below. And go into northern Canada and dip around all those islands. It's below zero up there still. 1.2 Celsius below zero, and when you get over on the periphery of Greenland, it's below freezing there as well. It's incredible that the news can continue to feed you this. And on to what is considered a historical event across Japan, race against time to rescue these people who are swept away during these floods. Now you might think, okay, well, the little town's flooded there. But this is the bottom quarter of the country is like this. All of it, right now. One of the main hit provinces, Ehime. So that whole island there, along with Kyoto and further south, and you get down to the other prefectures down there, they're all flooded just like this. So it is a massive, massive rescue effort underway. And if you see any of the live helicopter rescues, that is going to take your breath away. Now the storms all started a few days back when they had approximately a month and a half of rain in 2 hours. And then it let off a little bit and it turned into 2 months of rain in 72 hours. Well, then the storms kicked right back in again and now they have half a year's worth of rain in less than 10 days. This swept so many people away and damaged so many homes and swept so many communities away, literally. You had to evacuate at least 3.5 million people. You got to realize this is Japan. There's still thousands of people unaccounted for and just they're overwhelmed on emergency services. So you have to visualize this. As much rain is coming down in this one particular location, it is like this over a quarter of the country. Every town, every city, places like Kyoto, those are major cities, major tourist destinations. They're totally flooded as well. Come out here and we get in a little bit rural areas. It's like this everywhere. And the only thing I could possibly term this is an atmospheric compression event. Getting again on a global scale, that dust storm that's starting to make its way around the entire circumference of our planet. And these global size atmospheric compression events, they'll tell you it's CO2. And I'm going to say this is right on par with the intensification of the grand solar minimum. The wider that wave is, the more intense our weather becomes. We are just in the yellow, transiting into the green. These events you're seeing right now are literally only 1/6 of how intense this weather is going to become. If they're getting 6 months worth of rain in 10 days, multiply by 6. What if you get 3 years worth of rain in 10 days? This is where we're going with the global weather. Welcome to the grand solar minimum. I hope you're preparing. And if you found value in this type of information, please remember to subscribe and click that bell. Also, I have more in-depth conversation and analysis on mini Ice Age conversations, podcast loaded 3 to 4 times weekly, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, and anywhere else that you can find a podcast on the net that's hosted.